Hi, and welcome to another edition of Compelled. I am Mike Sutherland.
And I am Joe Spiegel.
Today, we're going to be talking about how PG&E helped fund the careers of California governor and his wife, and now he's accusing the utility of corporate greed.
What, are they cutting him out of something?
That's a misleading fucking headline. It's done by the Washington Post, and what I find interesting about it is that it sounds like they're okay with the fact that PG&E helped get him elected as governor.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's governor, he's being a dick to them for whatever reason. This is what really kills me. Over the past 2 decades, Newsom and his wife have accepted more than $700,000 from Pacific Gas and Electric. Its foundations and its employees as the utility has supported his political campaigns, his ballot initiatives, his inauguration festivities, and his wife's foundation, including her film projects, according to records reviewed by the Washington Post. Contributions illustrate Newsom's ties to the company responsible for wildfires that have killed at least 85 people and caused billions of dollars in damage. How much would it cost for PG&E to put all of their high-powered lines underground? Just an estimate. Take a wild fucking stab.
God damn, $100 billion.
Oh, that's close. 50.
Okay.
It would cost them $50 billion. I don't fucking care. Fucking do it. I don't care about your goddamn utility making money. I don't care about your fucking fiscal responsibility to shareholders. I don't care about your fiscal responsibility to yourselves and your executives. Fuck you. You caused this problem. You have $13 billion fund that is set up for the victims of the Paradise Fire, the Kincaid Fire.
Yeah.
You have more than enough money to start paying for getting these lines underground. And you're telling me that it's going to bankrupt you, yet you have, I want to say, $37 billion in reserves. You're backed by hedge fund managers and banks, and you continually raise rates on all the people, and you give bonuses to your executives. It is incumbent upon the people that are running the state, and it's incumbent upon the bankruptcy judge to force you to take the money that you have in reserve minus the money that you have to pay for the fucking fire victims and make you start putting these lines underground. If it costs $50 billion, you will make that money back in droves. You are already making that money. Hundreds of millions of dollars a year. It's a fucking multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that you can't do this because it's going to cost too much?
It's the most expensive state in the country.
Fuck you. I don't care. PG&E. I don't care, PG&E. It is incumbent upon you to do this.
They don't care.
As it relates to PG&E, it's about dog eats dog capitalism meeting climate change. Wish you would shut up about that. It's about corporate greed meeting climate change. It's about decades of mismanagement. It's about focusing on shareholders and dividends over you and the members of the public. And I can agree with that. That's exactly what it is. He added that while he can forgive the company for not predicting the degree of impact climate change has had on California, I will not forgive them for not making the kind of investments in their equipment, hardening and undergrounding and anticipating this new reality of which they have had ample time to anticipate. They've had more than enough time since the 1980s when computers were starting to go online, when more people were moving into California and all of that other shit. PG&E had more than enough time to put this stuff right.
And they could have been doing one city at a time, too. I mean,
Yep. Records show PG&E spent $227,000 on Newsom's political campaigns and committees supporting them over his 2 decades in public office, helping to fund his rise from San Francisco mayor to one of the country's most influential Democratic leaders. PG&E employees have spent an additional $70,000 on his campaigns. The company gave $25,000 for his mayoral inaugural costs, $25,000 to city ballot measures that he supported, and between 2011 and 2018, the utility's philanthropic arm gave $358,000 to the Representation Project, a nonprofit group founded by his wife.
The nonprofit, yet they just profited $358,000.
It's a nonprofit. It's not my, and that's not any profit at all. I know what you're saying. The PG&E Corporation Foundation also gave $10,000 to the Plump Jack Foundation, a charity led by his sister, Hillary. All right. So the utility and its employees have made significant payments to Newsom's gubernatorial campaign and the Representation Project, a nonprofit group founded by his wife, and the Plump Jack. Newsom's wife's nonprofit, $358,000. Campaign contributions, $300,000. Inaugural events, $25,000. Sisters nonprofit, $10,000. The company gave enough money to be listed as an associate producer in the credits for 2 of Jennifer Seibel Newsom's documentary films. And if those films make money, who makes the money? The producers make money. It also hosted high-profile screenings of the films at its offices, including in the atrium of its San Francisco skyscraper in 2011. The payments are not unusual for PG&E, one of the most politically active companies in California. PG&E spent $5.3 million on state and local political campaigns in 2017 and 2018. The company said in a court filing this year, with Newsom receiving more of that money than any other single candidate.
Grooming.
PG&E's political and philanthropic spending, along with executive compensation and shareholder payouts, are determined by the holding company PG&E Corporation. Its subsidiary, the PG&E Company, is a regulated monopoly that must negotiate its revenue and expenses with state regulators every 3 years, just so you're aware of what's going on with PG&E. The money contributed to the campaigns of Newsom and other politicians could have been used to put power lines underground or clear brush that led to wildfires, said David Pomerantz, executive director of the Energy and Policy Institute, a San Francisco-based utilities watchdog.
Give me $100,000. I'll clear some brush.
Every dollar that PG&E spends on a campaign contribution right now is one they should be spending to hasten the transition to a safer, more distributed electrical grid. PG&E, an investor-owned utility whose largest shareholders include hedge funds, Knighthead Capital Management, and Abrams Capital Management, filed for bankruptcy, declaring itself unable to pay the billions of dollars in mounting liabilities from repeated seasons of wildfires. Its market value is $3.4 billion after losing more than $30 billion in equity over the past 2 years. The company was worth more than $30 billion in equity. When a federal judge asked PG&E in July to explain why its political spending was more important than replacing or repairing the aging transmission lines, the company said it needs to make the concerns of its employees, customers, and shareholders known to policymakers. Like many individuals and businesses, PG&E participates in the political process. A spokeswoman for the company said in an emailed statement, PG&E holds itself to the highest standards of public disclosure and compliance with applicable laws and regulations. That is a bull-faced fucking lie. I know this for a fact. I've had friends that work for PG&E, and they've come out and said, this is not anything close to what they are really fucking doing. They are not in compliance. They are not holding itself to the highest standards of public disclosure. That is bullshit. If you were holding yourself to the highest standards of public disclosure, you wouldn't have fucking lied about the explosion that killed multiple families down in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have lied about
San Bruno, right?
The gas lines.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have lied about the Kincaid fire. You wouldn't have lied about the other fires that have started in the last 30 years due to your transmission lines starting to fail. You wouldn't have lied about it. You wouldn't have lied about the fact that nothing is wrong. You wouldn't have lied about the fact that the rates aren't going up because of this and this and this and this. But the rates are going up because of shareholders. Shareholders want more money.
Yep.
Fuck them. Shut this goddamn company down. A public utility should not be run by shareholders.
Yeah.
A public utility is a public utility.
And they shouldn't be allowed to contribute to political candidates.
Van Rennen said the utility has invested $27 billion in its electric system over the past decade. So that's $2.7 billion a year, including $3 billion in vegetation management and tree trimming. Oh, really? So all of the things that have just come out about the report of them paying millions and millions and millions of dollars a year to the multiple tree trimmers and companies that have said that they were going to clear the brush and never did. But hey, we did that. We spent $3 billion in vegetation management and tree trimming. Did not. The company is actively moving some of its power lines underground, but the process costs about $3 million per mile, or more than 3 times the cost of building overhead lines. By that estimate, converting all 18,000 miles of its overhead lines to underground lines would cost more than $50 billion. I don't care. I don't fucking care. It is incumbent on PG&E to do that because of the safety of the citizens of California.
At least start off doing it in places where wildfires are more, I was going to say effective, but you know what I mean. Where fires are more prevalent to happen. The most dangerous places, that's where I would assume you should start off at.
Nathan Click, a spokesman for Newsom, said in an emailed statement that the governor has used every tool at his disposal to hold PG&E accountable, including passing a law that he said created new safety requirements for PG&E if it wants to access the state wildfire relief fund. Newsom stopped taking contributions from PG&E after his election. There is no record of the company contributing to his inaugural events or future gubernatorial campaigns since then. A week after election, his wife's representation project held his gala at San Francisco's historic Ferry Building and listed PG&E as a main sponsor.
So it sounds like to me, just based off of what you've read, is that Gavin Newsom was held up while he was politicking, while he was running, by PG&E and other, what do they call them? Special interests or whatever. And once he was in office, and he was in this position of power, he starts getting this shit. He gets shit about PG&E and other things, and so now he's distancing himself from PG&E.
Kind of. He's not taking any contributions from them because of this, because it would be
tying him to it.
No, or it's what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? It's tying him to it is kind of what it is, but it's I
think I know what you're saying. I just can't think of the word. It's like not corruption.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's conflict of interest. Interviews with Nathan Ballard and Steve Kawa, two of Newsom's former advisors, said the politician never gave PG&E any special treatment. Kawa pointed to Newsom's effort as lieutenant governor to pressure the company to close its Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant, which PG&E petitioned to keep active despite concerns it is vulnerable to earthquakes. It is impossible to curry favor with Gavin Newsom. He has a very strong sense of right and wrong. I doubt that. Look at San Francisco. And has a long track record of voting against his closest allies and making policy decisions that displeases his closest allies. PG&E was despised by many long before the recent wildfires. I don't care about that. Even Governor Jerry Brown returned $9,000 to PG&E after the utility was convicted of 6 federal felonies for failing to prevent a pipeline explosion that killed 8 people and destroyed 38 homes in San Bruno in 2010. Filings show that PG&E gave Brown and committees supporting him more than $300,000. Oh, thanks for the money, but here's $9,000 back. It's a discount.
Yeah,
fuck off. PG&E is just the worst. It is the worst company with all the blackouts. We haven't had a blackout yet, and I say that now, but it's
look at our system. How our system is designed. You have to generate a shit ton of money to run for office. That breeds corruption, greed. I just fuck this system it just needs to be completely torn down, man.
Good luck with that.
I know. I know it's.
I agree with you completely, but it's insane.
It's.
How do you get elected? You lie. You lie to the people that you're representing. You do everything against what they want. Ars Technica is one of my favorite sites because the FCC, because of all the things that are going on with Gavin Newsom and stuff like that. Look, if Gavin Newsom is telling the truth, I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is the fact that he's allowed this stuff to happen during his tenure. Yeah. During his governorship or whatever you want to call it. The average price of gas in the United States is $2.60. We're somewhere around $4.
I drove by a Chevron in what was it, Citrus Heights, and they it was for Chevron gas. It was $4.60 something for a gallon.
$4.60?
Yeah. No bullshit.
Jesus goddamn.
Yeah.
$4.60?
Yeah.
Oh, we need Michael Cullen.
Might have been in Folsom, but it was yeah, I saw it. I saw it today.
$3.57.
Yeah, I pay $3.59 yesterday at Arco near where I live.
$3.85, $4.06 in some places. $4.60?
Yeah. No bullshit.
Oh, I'm not. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen it where like the gas station across the street was like at $3.80.
Yeah.
And Chevron was at like almost $1 more.
Also at the Sacramento airport, there's an Arco there.
Yeah.
And
they're up at like $4.50 a gallon.
They were. I think there was even like the Supreme, premium was like it was $5.01 or some shit. It was yeah. The airport's always like $1 more than everywhere else.
Yeah. Well, it's bullshit. San Francisco wanted to create an ordinance that promotes broadband competition in apartment buildings and other multi-tenant structures, but it's not clear what exactly the effect will have. And the House votes to block Ajit Pai's plan to kill San Francisco broadband law. So, I'm sorry, FCC is trying to kill part of San Francisco's broadband competition law because apartment buildings only have, X amount.
Mm-hmm.
The Comcast or one other, or sometimes just Comcast or whoever. Just throw in your own, internet company. And there's no competition. You can't say, I want to get Wave Broadband or Bob's Broadband or whatever.
Bob Band.
And what happens with that is these associations, these tenants, the companies that are also part of it think that they should be allowed. They are entitled to this shit, and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be. I mean, the reality is that California has been divided up by companies all over the place, and when you have companies dividing up an entire state and picking territories and telling which companies can and cannot come into their territory, that's garbage.
Yeah.
That's just getting around the monopoly laws. So if you want a real good lesson in everything that's going in journalism, go to Ars Technica. Ars Technica is amazing when it comes to reporting stuff, only because they don't pander to people.
Mm-hmm.
They sit there and they give you the information. They let you make your own decisions about what you should be talking about. I'm not what you should. What they allow you to make your own decisions in what you're reading.
They report the news. They don't elaborate and fluff.
Yeah.
All right. So for Compelled, as always, stay safe out there and tell the truth, man. Yeah. All right.